Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live from Channels Television in Lagos. A reminder of our top stories this hour. The new Chief of Defense Staff declares war on insurgents, gives service chiefs 3 months to end terror in the northeast. The People's Democratic Party moves on as the National Executive Council appoints Adamu Mwazu chairman of the ruling PDP. President Goodluck Jonathan launches dry season farming support with a grant of 14 billion naira. And the Central African Republic elects female mayor Catherine Samba Panza as new leader. All our top stories and other programs can be found on our websites, channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. But to get us on the move, then you must visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. And also interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have a picture or video to share with us, all you need to do is download the Channels TV Android application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share your reports, pictures and of course your videos. We're still talking politics. The 2015 general elections may be some months away. Both the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is promising the nation a better outing. At an event in Abuja, the national chairman of INEC, Professor Tahiru Jega, said the commission will do everything within its power to give Nigerians an election that meets their expectations.
We are not promising a perfect election in 2015, certainly. We will do our best to move in that direction, but we are optimistic and confident that it will be much, much better in all parameters compared to 2011.
Any election campaign, obviously freedom of speech is very important and so on, but I think, and I'm talking about all the countries in the world, including my own country, I think all politicians have a responsibility to be responsible in what they say. Talking about the election, talking about the issues, that's fair. That's exactly what they should be doing. But any comments by anybody, and again, I'm talking about all democracies in the world, that stir up ethnic tensions, that promote violence, that engage in unfair criticism of the process, I think that's very unfortunate, and I hope that Nigerian watchdog groups, if that happens, will call the politicians on it and tell them that that's not acceptable.
Well, President Goodluck Jonathan today asked a federal high court sitting in Kaduna to strike out a case brought before it by two chieftains of the People's Democratic Party seeking to stop him from recontesting for the presidency in 2015. The suit was brought before the court by the two members of the PDP, Richard Menyaga and Shuaibu Lili. The PDP chieftains also want the court to order the Independent National Electoral Commission to restrain the party from accepting nomination of Jonathan as a presidential candidate in the 2015 election.
In the suit filed on October 7, 2013, the PDP chieftains insisted that President Goodluck Jonathan had completed 8 years in office as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, calculated from May 29, 2007. The plaintiffs are seeking a declaration that President Jonathan is not entitled to a tenure of office as president exceeding 8 years. However, the president, through his counsel, Fabian Ajoku, a senior advocate of Nigeria, told the courts to dismiss the petition as the plaintiffs lack the local standi to bring the matter before the court.
We are trying to put our acts together as soon as possible. The learned SAN AJ Owonikoku is leading. By the grace of God, before 12th, we must have filed our responses, all our responses, and come regularize and then proceed for hearing.
We don't want to go into the substance of the issue because it's now before the court, and we hope that at the next adjourned date, when the court hears us, definitely they will take the decision and the matter will hopefully be struck out.
Before the ruling, there was a mild drama inside the courtroom over the double representation of councils to President Jonathan. That was temporarily resolved by the presiding judge, Justice Evelyn Anyadike. The case has been adjourned to February 12, 2014 for hearing.
Meanwhile, President Goodluck Jonathan has announced the provision of 14 billion naira for the support of dry season farming in Nigeria. The announcement came this afternoon when the president flagged off the 2014 dry season farming scheme, a brainchild of the Agriculture Transformation Agenda. The amount this year supersedes a sum of 9 billion naira provided for the same scheme last year. The president says increasing participation of farmers in agriculture necessitated the addition.
Nigerian farmers from all the geopolitical zones, all bearing their flags in the air as they throng the banquet hall.
Great Nigerian farmers!
President Goodluck Jonathan joins them to flag off their program for the year. He told them that agriculture is now about wealth creation. Last year alone, he set aside 9 billion naira to support them, and this year he is raising the stake.
Our resolve to expand the dry season food production is strong and irrevocable. We'll continue with this program. I think we have to, subsequently it has to come up October, November, so that the people will get into it, will get all what they need before the commencement of the dry season. To demonstrate this, I am today announcing the provision of 14 billion naira. 14 billion naira to support dry season farming for the 2014 season. This last year it was 9 billion. This year it is 14 billion. And as more states and more farmers key into it, we will continue to increase the amount of money.
He's happy that the growth enhancement scheme has checked corruption in fertilizer distribution and commended the resilience showed by Nigerian farmers during the flooding of last year.
The enthusiasm of farmers is impressive. I received reports that over 600,000 farmers have already registered to produce food in this year's dry season. This is an increase of about 125% over the number of farmers who participated last year.
The president performed the official lunch as well as cut the official cake. The Minister of Agriculture described the farmers as the most powerful people in the country, without which there would be no nation.
Mr. President, nothing is more important than food. Our dignity as a nation depends on feeding ourselves. Your support, in fact, your outstanding support, has ignited hope that we will be able to achieve this. Mr. President, the millions of farmers benefiting from your strong support are not on Facebook. They are not on the internet. They are not on Twitter, where they can interact and share their experiences. But their voices resonate loud all across our dear nation.
On her part, water is of paramount importance if the dry season farming must succeed. The Minister of Water Resources said her ministry is ready to support at all times using the various dams scattered across the country.
The ministry has embarked on the rehabilitation of dilapidated structures in the irrigation sector in order to increase the land that is available for irrigation. We, in 2013, we were able to launch the dry season farming in Bakalori and in Jibia, and the results have been very encouraging. We started with the wheat production, and I want to appreciate my brother in the Ministry of Agric for buying off all that the farmers produced.
Satirical cultural displays were used to buttress the fact that farming is no longer a way of life. Farming is now serious business. Chukuma Onwepuse, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the farmers appear optimistic that the agricultural sector may soon bounce back as a mainstay of the nation's economy. And this optimism was shared by governors and lawmakers who gave testimonies today of how their businesses and lives have witnessed a turnaround due to the changes taking place in the sector.
Cassava is making money.
In the past 2 years, the agricultural sector is said to be experiencing a rebirth in the Goodluck Jonathan administration. These farmers here gathered are said to be getting back their dignity and putting money in their pockets, and they could not hide it as they tell amazing stories.
Great Nigerian farmers. No farmer.
First, rural women whose lives have been transformed using the Growth Enhancement Scheme and Fertilizer Revolution.
Empowerment we are getting from His Excellency Mr. President. We are out. The women of Jigawa State are out. We are ready to farm. But what we want to appeal to Mr. President is that whenever you are supporting the farmers, you should separate the women from the men, because the men are cheating us. They are doing us wayo.
Next were those whose businesses were transformed still by the revolution going on in the agricultural sector.
All our farmers in Bakalori have enjoyed the dry season and the wet season GES input allocation. No single farmer out of 11,000 farmers that have not received his input. We are very glad of that, and we have been able to produce 11,000 hectares and 19,000 hectares in dry season and wet season respectively. Today, Bakalori has produced over 100,000 tons of paddy rice.
Even Nigerian bankers are not left out.
Mr. President, prior to the introduction of the various initiatives and the various interventions of the agricultural transformation agenda, lending by banks to the agri sector was below 1%. As I stand here, Mr. President, I can tell you that the figure 2 years after is now over 4.25%.
There were goodwill messages from even opposing political parties. From the governors to lawmakers, they gave credit to where credit is due.
Mr. President, at the risk of being cited for anti-party activity, because I am of the APC stock, I must say that the agricultural transformation agenda being pursued by your administration is unparalleled and unprecedented.
I'm happy to report that over 4,000 young people of very low morale at the time are now farmers for rice in Kogi State.
President Goodluck Jonathan said he's encouraged by the testimonies. He shares the optimism that a day will come when lawmakers will come up with a national policy to avoid the somersault that affects such laudable efforts.
From the government's Growth Enhancement Scheme since 2011.
Minister of Finance Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is advocating a change in the current structure of the budget. According to her, the current rise in the recurrent expenditure is as a result of the structure of the budget, and that must be changed, or else Nigeria will continue to experience an increase in recurrent expenditure. The minister gave the full breakdown of the 2014 appropriation bill during a presentation, a public one that is, at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja, the nation's capital. As she says, the priority will be given now to infrastructure development.
Know that.
It's an annual gathering which brings together government officials, civil society and private sector players and provides a forum for a better understanding of the budget.
In two contexts. First,
and just before the finance minister's presentation, the floor was open for some of the stakeholders to air their views and expectations from the budget. However, the Chairman House Committee on Appropriation was on hand to assure Nigerians of the commitment of the members of the House to ensure a quick passage of the budget.
The fact that it is the Minister of Finance that came and led the budget and not the President, it's not, the Constitution allows it, therefore it doesn't really mean that the National Assembly and the Executive are pulling more and more apart. Therefore, the fact that my deputy and I are here is to further demonstrate the fact that in spite of that, the National Assembly is committed to having to attend to the 2014 budget and to make an early passage.
And it was time for the finance minister to make her presentation. She began by explaining what Nigeria's budget stands for.
The budget is not only about the resources being allocated to various sectors, I want to say that, but also about new fiscal policies which will stimulate growth across various parts of the economy.
She also used the opportunity to explain some of the concerns of the budget, part of which is the recurrent expenditure.
That's just the reason why we have a very high ratio of recurrent now, after a very good effort. When I was minister first time, we tried to take the ratio down to about 65. It came up again and then went down. But the present situation we're in today occurred from the awards to salaries that were given in 2010. This jacked up the recurrent budget, and I have more to say about it, considerably to almost the personnel bill, I believe, went to almost double its size.
With aggregate expenditure pegged at 4.8 trillion naira, excluding SureP fund, the 2014 budget has its priority areas.
Education, health, roads, rail power, and aviation continue to be given priority. That is, our infrastructure is of paramount importance to us and to Nigerians. And to supplement government's effort, the private sector will be brought in through public-private partnerships. We have to work hard on this because we acknowledge that government funding alone will not be able to deliver all the benefits and services in infrastructure that we need for this country.
In all of these, Nigerians maintain that proper implementation of the budget should be the main focus of the government at this time. Chimezie Obiwagu, Channels Television News.
And when the News at 10 returns, the Central Bank of Nigeria hosts a monetary policy meeting. That's on Business News. Please stay with us.